Good evening and welcome to the Gothic Bohemian Salon. This is Jwlhyfer, and this is going to be part 3 of my Gothic life. I ended the last video on this subject talking about Fiorucci and meeting Patrick Maida and the other person who worked there, the young lady whose name I really wish I could remember, but I'm afraid I can't. Now, I started going there quite regularly. I worked a few days a week at this restaurant as a hostess, and I would have my parents drop me off early. I would tell them my shift started earlier than it did so that I could hang out at Fiorucci. And the guys didn't really seem to mind. I'd use the free espresso coupons and probably be jumping off the walls. And I would show them my artwork, and Patrick liked it. I was drawing a lot of people like David Bowie and Iggy Pop and Brian Ferry from Roxy Music, and people like that. So I'm sure he appreciated it, being being into music like I was at the time too. It was the time of life where music is the most important thing in your life. When you're a teenager. And it just seems like the most important thing. Not that that necessarily changes too much, but depending on who you are, really. But it certainly changed for me. Music is not the central point of my life anymore. It's important, but there's a lot of other things I'm interested in too. So, and then basically my friends who were a year ahead of me graduated from high school and went off their separate ways or whatever. So I didn't really see too much of them for the next year when I was 17. And I continued to change my clothes on the way to school and secretly listen to these tapes and, whatever. I did get some records for my birthday, though, which were openly given. Gary Newman, I think Elvis Costello, let's see, Japan, and Ian Dury, who had a hit at the time, Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll. It was quite a funny little song, actually. In the middle of that record was the Stiff label, which says, if it ain't stiff, it ain't worth a, and my stepfather saw the label one day and freaked out. He used to listen to my music on headphones, and he's like, is that punk rock? If that's punk rock, you're out of here, kind of thing. And I reassured him that it wasn't, and let him listen to it, and he said, oh, that's kind of like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which had just come out as a movie quite recently. And actually it turns out that some of my friends from high school were some of the first people to do the extra show at the Rocky Horror Picture Show, the whole thing with acting it out on the stage with the movie and getting all dressed up and all that kind of stuff. They actually were like the first people to do that, which is interesting. So I ended up doing my thing. I dyed my hair a little bit, I think magenta, with some watercolor, and then I would keep it pinned so my mother couldn't see it. I just kind of twist it and pin it. One day she saw it and she freaked out, of course, and I said, oh, it's just watercolor, it'll wash right out, and that seemed to appease her. But I was trying in my own small way to express myself, and my teacher started to notice, and they didn't really like it very much, unfortunately, or fortunately. And then I turned 18, and I was able to sign my own absence slips, and I moved out of my parents' house and into my grandmother's house. And I basically decided that nobody was ever going to tell me what to do again. Nobody was going to ever invade my privacy again. And, various other things that, had occurred at my parents' house. I just, was kind of like, never again. So my poor grandmother, I mean, I just, I would go out at 10 o'clock at night and take a bus to downtown and all this kind of crazy stuff, and I'm sure I did a lot of dangerous things. But it was exciting. And of course I could dress up whenever I wanted to. And I dyed my hair orange and green, I think was the first thing I tried to dye it. I wanted to do it gray, actually, like a gray-white, but that didn't quite work out. I didn't know how to do it, so I don't know how I ended up with orange and green. I guess I was kind of thinking David Bowie, and then I wanted to do a tribute to Gabby, and I thought it would look good. No. And I started wearing makeup, pretty intense makeup. Not so much on my face as around the eyes and, lipstick and stuff like that. I started wearing a lot of vintage dresses and pointy vintage shoes, spike-heeled 1950 shoes, stilettos, and we were going to this place called Club Lingerie, and let's see, let me go back just a tiny little bit. There was a couple of stores that catered to the whole punk rock, new wave, new romantic, etc. thing. One of them was they were both on Santa Monica Boulevard at first, and then they both moved to Melrose. But we went to one of them when it was still on Santa Monica Boulevard, or we might have gone to both actually. One of them was a record store called Vinyl Fetish, and the two gentlemen that owned the store had club nights that they used to run. And the other store was a clothing store, and they had bondage pants and all that kind of stuff, the studs that you could put on your jacket, and hardly anybody owned a leather jacket. It was very unusual to see one. Only punk rockers had them, or later rocker guys and stuff like that. But you have to understand that a little bit of pink in your hair was very radical. Wearing 1950s clothes was very radical. Leather jacket, unheard of. Spiky hair, all that stuff was just really unheard of. It was totally brand new. So people didn't understand it. They weren't familiar with it. You got stopped constantly and asked to take your picture, to what it was all about. People got angry. It was pretty contentious, actually. I got a lot of, you're such a pretty girl, why are you doing that to yourself, sort of stuff. Crazy. I remember I pierced one ear twice, and that was a huge scandal, because you didn't get just one ear pierced. It was 2 ears or nothing. I had just one ear pierced for a really long time, actually. And when I moved, I cut my hair, like I said, and dyed it, and started wearing these different clothes, and I'll never forget, though, the first time I went into Vinyl Fetish, because Henry Peck, who is one of the owners of Vinyl Fetish, had black hair, dyed black hair, with green in it, and he was older. I don't know how old, but he seemed a lot older, and kind of craggy in his face, and just he actually scared me, to be frank. He was really unusual looking, and he just seemed really severe and serious and stuff, and I just felt like such a dweeb, going in there, because we were just still so, new. and you know, we ended up going in there quite a lot. And then they started the Veil, and the Veil, it's the most incredible place I've ever been to in my whole life. That wasn't like going to another country or something, but as far as like the people there, everyone was different. It was just so amazing. People really had their own individual styles, and it really showed, you know, and people actually did something. They were either in a band, or they were some kind of artist, or, you know, they I don't know, they were a poet, or, you know, they just didn't just dress up and go out. It was much more than that. So it was a very exciting time, and just amazing. Like, if I looked then, like what I do right now, this moment, I would have been so out there. I mean, it would have been really cool, actually. It kind of makes me wish I could go back, you know, to that time, and know what I know now in a way, and, you know, be able to do things creatively with clothing and my hair that would just really blow people away. But unfortunately, oh well, you can't go back in time. I do miss that club, though. It was held at a place called Club Lingerie, and this is a picture of one of the outfits that I took, that I put together from thrift store clothes to wear there. So I would just find vintage clothes and dresses and things, and you know, just kind of mix and match and put them together and try to create like some sort of costumey thing. And then I was, you know, really into David Bowie, so I had my hair cut, and I would draw the big circle on my forehead, and I had my eyebrows shaved, and I just thought I was really something. And actually I did get some nice attention at the time. I was different enough that it, you know, that I did get some pretty good attention. And people used to draw really beautiful little designs on their faces and wear this really, really nice makeup, and there's a lot of different types of people there, and dancing was huge. You really did dance at the Veil. Whereas going to go see bands, there wasn't really dancing. There was the mosh pit kind of thing, you know, going, but no dancing. But at the Veil, you know, you really did dance, and it was pretty interesting dancing, and you could kind of become very, I don't know if famous is the right word, but very popular because you danced nicely, if that makes any sense. And if you had like a cute little haircut, and, you know, there was this one girl, and she had like a twin brother, and they used to dance together, and they had the same kind of haircut and the same sort of makeup, and they looked really great doing that kind of dancing. The Veil was a sister club to the Blitz Club in London, which was a new romantic club in London. And the new romantic thing was started after the punk thing, and I believe it probably came through Vivienne Westwood's shop. Might have been the beginning of that whole thing. It's possible that it started on the street first and then they picked it up or something like that. But, you know, it was all about poet shirts and dandyism and wearing like costumes and makeup and getting really fancy, and it was really, really lovely, actually. It's funny because one of the Lisas from high school, there were two girls named Lisa who were friends of mine, said the next trend is going to be really dressing up like in formal clothes or something, because punk rock is so like destroy your clothes kind of thing. And she was kind of right, you know. But the Blitz Club was a big thing, and I think the whole new romantic thing maybe lasted a year. It was pretty short-lived, but lovely at the same time. And Henry and Joseph of Vinyl Fetish put that club on, and actually that's part of how I got my name. And I think I'm going to leave that for the next installment of my Gothic life. Thank you so much for joining me tonight in the Gothic Bohemian Salon. Good night.